From downtown Scranton, this is Northeast Current. WQPX invites you to join us as we explore public affairs, current events, and arts and culture in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Now, let's meet today's guests on Northeast Current.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Northeast Current. I'm Charlie Charlesworth, your host. It's not often in Northeast PA that we have one of our local residents who is fortunate enough to have a book published. It's even more unusual when that same local resident has a second book published. Now, it really gets out there when that same person ends up having a movie made from one of those two books. We're joined here today with John Zelenski. This isn't the first time, John, you've been here. When the first book was published, you were gracious enough to come on our show and tell us about the first book. Now, the first book was called Walker's Vale.
Yes.
The second book, which was just released in March, was called the Journal of Ezekiel Walker.
Yes.
And the way it's set up is the first book was actually what's going on like at present time.
Yes.
The second book that was just published is actually a prologue to that, discussing how Ezekiel Walker came to Walker's Vale.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
It's got to feel great, and congratulations,
Thank you.
by the way.
Thank you.
I'm sure you worked hard to get the first book published.
I did, yes.
Was the second book equally as hard to get published, or had you established some credentials by?
Yes, Tate Publishing is still the publisher, so I had those inroads made, and the process, I think, was a little bit smoother this time. I knew what to expect with the editing and the revisions and things like that. So I'm just working on the third one, and we'll see where that goes then. The third one would be the final installment in the Walker's Vale series.
A trilogy of.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, in producing the second book, you're actually going back in time.
Yes.
To chronicle how the Walker's Vale came about.
Right.
You want to explain that a little bit on how?
Sure. What I did was, with the Journal of Ezekiel Walker, I went back to the end of World War II. The story focuses on the preacher from the first book, Ezekiel Walker, and he's trying to adjust to life after the war. He was actually a conscientious objector, so he was serving in a civilian public service unit. So he's realizing things have changed, the world is different, and I think he's realizing that he's different too. So this starts the beginning of the spiritual battle between the forces of good and evil. So this book, I believe, gives kind of a history to how the supernatural events started and carried into Walker's Vale.
Now, both books are faith-based Christian fiction.
Yes.
And they address that sometimes battle between good and evil. Now, one of the terms you used, I know that we're both born-again Christians, and,
yes.
and so we believe in that spiritual realm.
Yes.
But you also mentioned people of the Catholic faith who are, I forget the term that you used to describe. They're more charismatic.
Yeah.
You know, they would have that same spiritual belief that we born-again Christians have, and you don't really notice that spiritualism in a lot of the churches in America, because we're mainstream churches now, and I know other countries. You know, my wife is from Brazil, so very spiritually oriented, casting out demons and the battle between the forces of good and evil. The second largest religion in Brazil is Macumba, second only to Christianity. And there is a battle between the actual the people in public.
Yeah.
You know, between their spiritualism. Both books address that spiritualism that isn't often found, in America today.
Right.
Do you want to give us a little background as to how Ezekiel comes about, realizing the battle that's going on, or did he always know?
I think he was kind of thrust into it, maybe as an unwilling participant. I think that what happened really was he realized that forces around him were changing, and he started, I guess the best way to put it is his eyes were opened maybe to the unseen world that maybe the rest of us don't get to see, which may be a good thing, because there's an ongoing battle with the satanic forces versus the angelic realm. And I think, spiritually speaking, when he was thrust into this, like I said before, he was unwilling. But as the book goes on and as the story develops, he's starting to realize that this is maybe his calling, and he has really no choice in the matter. He's called by God to do this. He has a mission, and in the next book, that's going to be kind of finalized, so to speak.
Now I know that I'm not originally from this area. I'm from the coal region, but the extreme southern tier of the coal region, and across the street is Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yes.
Farm region. I live right on the border between the coal region and the farm region. And I know there's people don't realize this, but the Amish people, there's a lot of spiritual warfare going on in their religion. I mean, those hex signs that are on the side of a barn are to ward off evil spirits, and
yes.
They do put hexes on each other, and so I was brought up with stories of individuals who had experiences dealing with the other realm.
Right.
And I understand, you have a little bit of a background yourself and have based both of these books in part on your own personal experiences.
That's right, yeah. Growing up, I was about maybe 7 or 8 at that point when my family moved into the house that they're still in now. There was just strange things happening, sounds, boxes falling over. The thing that stands out to me the most was my mom was reading my brother and I a story, and we heard the footsteps just like coming down the steps. Of course, no one was there.
Yeah.
And I still remember
now the hair standing up in the back of my
yeah,
neck. So.
Yeah, on the back of my neck, on my arms, everything.
Yeah.
I think at that point I realized that there's, maybe even at that young of an age, that there's something more, there's stuff that we don't see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used some of that to use, I guess, for inspiration through the different maybe evil things that happen throughout the book.
Yeah.
So I use that as a basis, yeah.
I'm a parent. Let's say this isn't me. I'm an average Joe parent out there, and I don't belong to a born-again Christian church, or I'm not a more charismatic Catholic. Is this something I don't have to fear my kids reading? Is it based more for adults, or?
Well,
I
I've
mean,
had...
we're not going to have book burnings or anything like that.
I hope not.
I hope not either.
No, I've had, in fact, I was asked that question by a friend of mine. Her 13-year-old daughter read it, very much enjoyed it. It's not meant to, it's meant to entertain, of course, but it's not meant to, highlight the evil in the world. It's meant to expose it and show that there is an evil side, but there's also the good side, and the good side is always going to win.
Yeah.
But I think we just have to be more aware that there is evil in the world, and it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Actually, it might very well be a great way to introduce young people into the spiritual realm of Christianity and their faith.
Yeah.
The movie, Movies in the pre-production stage, you mentioned?
Right, pre-production.
And tell us a little bit about the production company and you know, how far they are into the production.
Okay. The production company is Allegencia Productions. They're in North Hollywood, California. I met John and Sherelle Hall online. We had some mutual interest in filmmaking. So I knew that they were interested in making a movie. They're relatively new. They were looking for a script, and I said, I don't have a script necessarily, but I do have a book, and I think maybe, you know, can you take a look at it? And Sherelle really, she loved it a lot. She said, this is going to be our first movie. So as we talked about, they're in pre-production now. They're getting funding together. The script was just done. They want to start filming later this year, and maybe next year, hopefully the film will be ready.
Be great if they'd film here in Pennsylvania.
Well, to be honest, there's 3 locations I know they're looking at. One is Pennsylvania, one is Georgia, and one is Indiana. So yeah, hopefully it comes.
The other 2 states, both Bible Belt states, that yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, the Walker's Vale itself, fictitious town?
Yes. Yes.
Not one of those ones that really exist, but you changed the name to protect the residents?
No, fictitious, and it's actually maybe down your neck of the woods. It's on the Pennsylvania-Delaware border, but you know, down in Amish country.
More great news, John. I understand you have a book signing coming up locally here.
Yes.
Can you tell our audience when and where?
Yes, it'll be at the Library Express, which is at the Steamtown Mall. It's May 2nd from 2 to 4, so people interested can come out and meet me, get a copy of the book signed, and maybe we'll talk and share some experiences and get to know each other.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely be there myself. I'd love to get both books and get them signed. I'm going to have to take a break now, but before I go to break, I'd like to get you to make a promise that, you know, once this movie gets into production and is, you know, going fairly well,
right.
If you'd come back and be a guest with us again and tell us how the movie's going.
I'd be honored. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, John. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank our guest, John Zelenski, today for coming in to speak with us about both his books and the movie. We're hoping that all of you out there would stop at his book signing and get one of his books. Right now we're going to have to take a break, so we'll be right back.
Welcome back into Northeast Current on INTV. My name is Kate Moss, and entertainer Vanessa Williams is one of the most respected and multifaceted performers in the entertainment industry. During her more than 30-year career, she's become a multi-platinum recording artist, Tony-nominated Broadway actress, and an Emmy-nominated TV star. She's also known for her incredible style on and off the screen. Vanessa is partnering with TrackPhone and Dress for Success for their new Success is Calling program designed to help women prepare for the critical first impression during phone interviews that helps them set up their successful careers. Williams has been a longtime friend and supporter of Dress for Success, a nonprofit organization that's been promoting the economic independence of disadvantaged women by providing career counseling and professional clothing since 1997. Vanessa joins us via satellite from New York City. Vanessa, tell us about your involvement with Dress for Success.
Well, Dress for Success is a fantastic organization that helps women who have had some misfortune in their life start out in the workplace. And TrackPhone has teamed up with Dress for Success to start a campaign called Success is Calling. And it helps women, I'm holding a TrackPhone smartphone right here. It helps women with their interview skills over the phone. So once they complete the Success is Calling program through Dress for Success, they will receive a smartphone from TrackPhone for an entire year, which will help with their goal to be gainfully employed. And it's a fantastic opportunity for women to get a fresh start, not only with the clothes that they'll be getting from Dress for Success, but also the skills that they'll be getting from going through the Success is Calling program. And if women do not go through the Dress for Success program, but also want to get some tips on how to make an important impression with their employers, they can go to tfsuccessiscalling.com, which is the website, and they can learn all the tips that are laid out on the website and help start a new start with a new job. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone. And even if you don't need a new job, but you still want to contribute, if you buy a smartphone through TracFone at Walmart in the month of April, 20% of the proceeds will go to Dress for Success.
Well, who were some positive role models for you growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was lucky to have parents that were educators that instilled how important it was to make a first good impression, to be able to be articulate, to be focused, to have dreams and be able to work hard for your dreams to make them a reality. So, and not only my parents, but I had wonderful teachers as well. So, I think part of my success, a lot of my success has to do with the tools that I was given growing up, and especially as a young woman going out in the workforce. And I think that Dress for Success and TracFone, this collab with Success is Calling, is fantastic for women that didn't have the opportunities that I did.
This is so important for our area with all of the different millennials graduating from college that need to learn confidence, leadership, and networking skills.
Right, confidence and being clear and succinct and not saying, I don't know, but being focused and being present and being assertive, but also being able to answer questions that might be asked of you by your employer and having confidence to ask them and get the job.
Can you give our viewers that website again so they can log on to find out more?
Yes, it's tfsuccessiscalling.com.
Vanessa, you were the first person I ever saw on Broadway when I was in high school. Kiss of the Spider Woman, I'll never forget it.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for being with us. And thank you as well at home for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend the morning with us here on Northeast Current. This is Eye on Television. My name is Kate Moss, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Northeast Current on Eye on TV. My name is Kate Moss. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. And just in time for the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act on April 11th, the law, commonly known as No Child Left Behind, is getting a major rewrite. Joining us this morning to discuss her vision is Lily Eskelsen Garcia, the president of National Education Association. She and the 3 million members are asking lawmakers to get back to the core intention, opportunity, and equality for all students. Good morning, Ms. Garcia. What was the original intent behind the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and how has that changed over time?
You know, it has a great history. 1965, during school desegregation, during the Civil Rights Movement, President Lyndon Johnson decides he wants to do something on the federal level to help children who've lived in utter poverty and are obviously not getting the same resources in their schools as more affluent students in a state. So he came up with the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ESEA, as part of his war on poverty. And what it did was it gave some modest but very important extra resources to help with reading tutors, to help with teacher training, to help with technology in those schools that were in deep pockets of poverty. We would go up there as the National Education Association, and we would lobby with one word: more. We need more reading tutors. We need more training. We need more of the resources to help our students. And then in 2002, everything changed because Congress got together, Democrats, Republicans both, changed the name to No Child Left Behind, and changed everything, and not for the better. It turned our schools into testing factories in many cases, where kids, instead of caring about the resources they had, that they had the extra help they needed, everybody was to be tested and based on these standardized tests, and if you had your quota of kids that hit a cut score, your school or the students would be labeled as failures or passing. Everything came down to that bubble test, and we know our students are so much more than a test score.
How has the current version of ESEA, No Child Left Behind, affected the public school system today?
You know, I think that teachers, the paraprofessionals, the school building principals, they've done the best they can to try and minimize the impact, the negative impact on just that obsessive focus on a standardized test meaning everything, and they've tried to open up opportunities for kids, but we're finding out that all of that test and the test prep and the obsession over tests, those decisions often made by politicians, not by the people who know the names of the kids, it's cutting into teaching time. So the irony is, in service to the test, we're actually losing time to teach. So now Congress, and Congress is the only one that can change this law, they're talking about reauthorizing No Child Left Untested, changing it so that hopefully we will be looking at good indicators of success, not just one cold standardized test. And what we're asking them to do is also look at the opportunities to learn. What about the resources that those kids aren't getting? You can take a look at what the most affluent public schools have. Why aren't all kids able to enjoy those programs and those services? That's when we think the law will really be meaningful and really fulfill the promise of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act that was made 50 years ago.
As you mentioned, the key word is more, but more specifically, what would you like lawmakers to change in their new version of the law?
What we need more of is less testing. So if that makes any sense, we want to see an end to that one-size-fits-all standardized test that's really just a little peephole into that classroom. You can see something in there, but you certainly don't see everything. If we do this right, we'll open the door of that classroom. We'll have better indicators of success. How many kids are in advanced placement classes? How many kids are already earning college credit in high school? Those are the kinds of things I think parents would really like to know. What about things like class size in your most affluent schools, class size in your least affluent schools? What about the indicators that say which kids have a school nurse, school counselors, the things they need, the resources they need inside that school? Congress could really pass something that said we're going to give you more information about what's going on in a school.
What can our viewers do to get more involved?
You know, while Congress is discussing this, especially in the month of April, when this is the 50th anniversary this month of the first passage of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, you can go up on a website, getesearight.com, plug in your zip code, and up will pop a place you can type a message that will go directly to your senators and to your member of the House of Representatives. Talk about your children, your grandchildren, a student that you care about. Talk about them being more than a test score and what you want to see in ESEA in terms of we want you to look at the whole blessed child and to get ESEA right this time.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia, for your time this morning, and thank you as well at home for spending your morning with us here on Northeast Current. My name is Kate Moss, and we'll see you next week. I can't think. Ion TV, my name is Kate.
3, 2, 1.
Lily Escalin.
Whoa. At least it's not snowing.
I didn't do well, is that what you're saying?
And multifaceted performers in the entertainment industry. I can't talk.
Everyone,
All right, let me try this one more time. Yeah. All right, they went the other way. I was worried that they were gonna...
Wait.
Isn't Amityville down there somewhere?
I'm not sure. I've heard of Amityville.
Regina, my mind is mush.